there are spoilers ahead. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Go fuck yourself if you do not want to be spoiled as far as how Black Widow begins, spans out, and or ends. Well, we know how it ends if you're a fan of the MCU. If you saw Avengers, what was the last one? Endgame. You saw what happened to Black Widow. But that's at the end. So it's kind of half-ish spoilers. So we're leading into how this opens and how this develops into how it ends, which we know already. So kind of like spoilers with an asterisk at the end. It's a matter of, if you saw Endgame, you know already. If you didn't, well, you know, you got time. It's only been out for like 2 years now to go watch it. You see it, you like it, you come back, watch this, you watch this first, and go see the movie on your own, whichever fucking order you want to do it. I'm not going to judge you how fucking, if you jump into your fucking pant legs 2 legs at a time, somehow that's talented, you should be on America's Got Talent, or if you do it 1 leg at a time like us normal people do, that's fine too. But no reserve and no judgment how you feel about it. But this is how I feel, according to me, who this, for Black Widow today. Shout outs to Vinsanity Lee for joining the live, as well as All I Do Is Mix for joining in and chiming in on the live as well. I appreciate that. But yeah, let's get into this Black Widow thing. Usually I got some trivia to go into as far as like, oh, you know, this happened, this happened, this happened. But listen, I'll be honest, as I've been honest for about 30 plus episodes so far, who has been watching now, is that I have a very poor memory. That's due to the fact that, I don't know, I hit my head a lot of times growing up throughout my youth, throughout adulthood, and at least every 2-3 weeks, I hit my head randomly on something, so that might contribute more to my poor memory per se. My memory for other things, as far as stupid shit I don't need to remember, or could care less about remembering, but for some reason I do, that's still intact. But stuff like, oh, wake up at 8 o'clock. Remember to send an alarm to wake up at 8 o'clock, etc., happens every day like clockwork. So I don't know what happens there. Point is, don't ask me about the cast. I don't know names. I didn't research. Poor memory retention as far as names. I got one of those memories which I'll never remember your name probably, but as far as your face, I got like an elephant's memory, meaning I'll remember your face from the moment I seen it, the second I laid eyes on it, till the second I dropped dead. I don't know how that works. Maybe because I'm a Virgo, detail oriented heavy as far as like what's literally in front of me. I don't retain so much what I read, more like I gotta engage and get hands on with it to actually let it sink in here and kind of stay in the memory banks. So give or take, don't expect me to fucking remember characters' names, let alone their actual real life, you know, names attached to their social securities and all that shit too. I don't know. I can barely remember. Ask me to spell Scarlett Johansson, I'm gonna fuck it up somehow. But really my main motive for watching is Scarlett Johansson. Call me sexist, call me a pig, call me whatever you want, but also call me a red-blooded American male. But Scarlett Johansson is really the main reason why, or my incentive to watch Black Widow. I already liked a majority, let's say 90-95% of the MCU movies out there already. So as far as that's concerned, of course I was going to watch Black Widow, being a fan of all the other films. This is, I guess, apparently, Scarlett Johansson's gracefully bowing out of her role as both Black Widow and her positioning in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So she's bye-bye, gone forever, and what's that old saying? I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave, because literally, wow, chef's kiss. What a fine ass woman from head to toe. Listen again. I'm a male, I'm guilty of that. That's how I identify as fully. You know, we're in the day and age where now, even at the doctor's office, they have to put in a little checkbox of whether you identify as such gender you are literally in a physical form, or what you feel like mentally or physically, spiritually, whatever too. No, every time, don't even bother asking me, I check out as male. Because listen, this voice, my physical attributes, I think would be a waste if I was anything else or I did not identify as a male. Not to put down anyone else. It's like if I put on a wig, I'm not fooling anybody. But yeah, so this is Scarlett Johansson's bowing out of the universe itself, as was Endgame for Chris Evans with Captain America. him going back in the timeline, going back to how he would have aged had he not taken the super soldier serum, I think, and aging with another fine ass addition to the MCU, Agent Carter. I forget it. No, she's so fine. I know her name in real life. Haley. Okay, I remember Haley. That's her first legit name in real life. But then Agent Carter, otherwise too, Peggy Carter, something like that too, I think. But yeah, he goes off and runs off with fine ass Agent Carter to go be old again and die. So now it's Black Widow's turn because in Endgame is when she died. And we know how that ended back then if you saw Endgame. If not, then, what was it? Her and Hawkeye were fighting on the edge of a cliff of where you had to sacrifice a life to get the Soul Stone. They were fighting each other as far as who needs to die. Hawkeye's like, I need to die. You stay alive, whatever. I did more dirt than you. And Black Widow's all like, no, idiot. I'm like a trained assassin. I'm actually been born and bred practically to kill people from whenever I get the chance to do so. So I got way more dirt and blood on my ledger than you ever will. You're a cuck. Who's gonna take you seriously as a master assassin when you're running around with your bow and arrow, thinking you're like a little Indian boy or whatever too, and then they struggle, she falls off and kills herself, sacrifices herself for the Soul Stone. Hawkeye takes the Soul Stone so they can get all the Infinity Gems and stones, I think, whatever they're called. And then you know how Endgame ended, so yeah, basically, rest in peace, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., that was his bowing out of the universe as well too. So, with Black Widow, the initial hang-up I had and why my interest was so piqued with Black Widow was because I figured, this is so out of order, this is some Star Wars shit, this is whatever other franchise likes to go out of order or kind of like, throw things off as far as the set established timeline's concerned and kind of do the thing for the sake of, let's make another one, let's make another one, let's make another one. I mean, the thing is with the Marvel Universe in comparison to, like, again, Star Wars, whatever, too, it's such a large universe, and we're lucky if we've seen even close to half or even a quarter of the amount of characters from the comics brought to the big screen. I don't even think we're close to that amount yet. So as far as the movies and how far that universe and realm can expand, who knows if we'll ever see literally every Marvel character on the big screen. So there's definitely an open window for Black Widow to come out so much after the fact. I don't understand why till now. I think it wouldn't have made a difference had Black Widow came out, let's say, years before, or maybe right between Avengers Age of Ultron and between Infinity War. Because, it would have, because Black Widow takes place in the events occurred before Infinity War, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I might be misplacing it. It might be between Infinity War and Endgame. No, actually, no, because she came back for Infinity War. Okay, so it's before Infinity War. Sorry, Civil War, Infinity War. That's what I meant to say. The events that occurred within that time frame, what she was up to, what happened in Budapest, her upbringing, her past, Red Room, all this other shit too. So I think that literal time frame, had they done it back when, would have worked just fine as well too. Obviously, way before the pandemic. This fucking movie got delayed a year plus because of the pandemic. Supposed to come out last year some point too. I think November or some shit, whatever, either 2020, 2019, whatever. I would have liked to seen this maybe literally when it was supposed to take place. Right after Civil War, right before or leading into, building up to Infinity War. That would have made more sense to me. So, the movie opens up pretty strong with a really, I can't really remember if any other Marvel movies did this as well too, but a really close to home, kind of like almost too real to seem like, are we watching a comic book movie and not opening, where they got, news segments, shit from past events occurred that actually happened in real life, not so much the Marvel Universe, presenting it in a way really dramatic build up, really fucking like, like in your face kind of shit. Again, newsreels kind of spliced in as far as what happened with like human trafficking, trafficking of children, or Russian implanted spies. in the United States from back when, which apparently was a thing, and up until not too recently, also still a thing occurring. So I had no clue. I mean, I read of that back in school. They used to do that shit to kind of learn our ways, adapt to our culture, and, breed from when inside the nest itself and bring us down like a stack of cards. But apparently they've been doing it until not too far removed from now, a decade or so ago. So there goes Russia again, playing their games, mentally and physically, literally, whatever. To go along with that, and also jumping into how they kind of harbor these girls that they force into the Black Widow program, or lean into the Red Room where they train all the next batch of fucking Black Widows. They played as really somber, really depressing sounding, but really perfectly queued up, layered in the background version of Smells Like Teen Spirit from, of course, Nirvana. Rest in peace, shout out to Kurt Cobain. Really fits it well as far as how, again, dark and sorrowful it sounds, as far as the girls being forced into living these lives as nothing but trained assassins, presumably for hire, or just, as we learn later on in the film, under the control of one sole proprietary guy who literally has, I don't know if he had it back when he started the program, or is it, modern times now, like literally with a tablet, he can kind of cue into whichever one he chooses of all the many Black Widows he's helped create, and either terminate them or control them as he wishes to, and do with them as he will, or he wishes, better yet said. There's that. It's just really impactful. So when I saw that, or the movie opened up with that kind of opening, I felt, and I misled myself to think, the movie's gonna go this whole route. Like, this is gonna be one of those more serious Marvel films, because out of all of them so far, they've had the cut and dry formula of, like, there's enough action for everybody to enjoy, there's enough humor for everybody to enjoy, there's enough drama, not so much heavy on the drama, but more like the internal struggles of being a hero, the powers, coping, how do we beat the bad guy, punchline here and there too to kind of sell the whole scene, but like tie it off with a really pretty, ribbon as far as like humor's concerned. With this opening, it felt like it could have been more like a Logan movie, which wasn't Disney, Marvel, whatever the fuck. That was Fox. And if we had the asterisks include that into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'd probably throw that up there in the top 5, if not probably top 3, or at least, better yet said, my favorite Marvel movie, because that Logan shit was really fucking good from start to finish. As long as it was impactful. I thought maybe Black Widow will go that realm, despite it being PG-13, obviously, of course. Misled completely, because that would have led you to assume that maybe we're going to get a closer, in-depth glimpse of what went on in the Red Room. At least what I thought. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe I imagined it, or thought I saw it in a trailer from way back when Black Widow was supposed to come out initially. I could have sworn there was something going on in a big ass room. She's youngish looking, and she's doing the training. No, we get treated instead to like a very kind of jump cutty, like fast cut, maybe less than 2 or 3 minutes, kind of like recap of the training they had to go through. I wanted to see if maybe we get an insight of the psyche of, or the mental state of a young Natasha Romanoff growing up as to be a Black Widow, or dealing with the Red Room itself. How she feels day in, day out. Does she have feelings? Apparently they were doing lobotomies, or as they reveal later on as well, they're like taking out a portion of the brain which controls the free will of a person. So their whole point of the Black Widow thing, program, initiative, whatever the fuck they call it, is to control that individual's free will to the point where, again, the guy can literally take a tablet, scroll to whichever one he wants to control in that particular moment, and just do what he has to with that particular Black Widow. Kill, don't kill, stop breathing, take a shit and don't stop taking a shit until you shit your guts out. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, I thought with that opening it'd be more down that realm, but we didn't get that, unfortunately. So that goes into what I do like afterwards is after that little opening clip of what we would have thought would have been a more in-depth look at the Red Room, her very early days of Natasha / Black Widow. Instead, we get her literally in the bathroom hiding from a SWAT team, General Ross coming after her ass, ready to take her in for having assaulted, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther, back in Civil War, because he had to subdue him so he could let Falcon and fucking Captain America get away after that fight in Germany at the airport. So they're hunting after her ass. She's in the bathroom. She knows already. She's, always one step ahead. And funny enough, because she is of the Avengers, she's the only one with no powers besides being a highly trained, master skilled assassin, to the point where she might as well be a superhero because she's able to take all these blows and hits, impact, bruising, breaking bones, whatever too, and just keep on fucking going. And that's why my whole deal with Hawkeye being an Avenger is because if you take away the bow and arrow, okay, yeah, he becomes Ronin afterwards, whatever. But if you take away the bow and arrow, is he gonna have that fucking phantom syndrome of when he's gotta fight somebody, he's gonna immediately put his arms in the bow and arrow stance and then, oh shit, right, I gotta fight with my hands. Or someone breaks his fucking arrow or bow, whatever, too. Yeah, he turns into Ronin afterwards with the sword, Master Assassin too, but he just never convinced me as fucking anything besides, just being like the guy with the bow and arrow. Oh, explosive bow and arrow. Oh, the bow and arrow with a fucking rope at the end, etc., etc. Fancy, whatever. If he fucking loses one of his limbs, he's useless because he's got no powers. He can't swing a sword. Maybe he can swing a sword with one arm, but he definitely can't shoot no bow and arrow with just one arm, unless he does the bow, the arrow against his chest, but then setting that whole thing up too, and then he has to drop the bow and hope the arrow shoots in a way that actually takes off somewhere or hits somebody besides dropping on his foot or something like that. I'm sorry, I still fucking want to argue that Hawkeye is pointless to even be an Avenger, but okay, let alone a fucking hero per se, quote unquote, but okay, I digress. In this case, she escapes, she's able to fucking escape presumably to, I guess, I don't know what the fuck they said, some shit. I forget where exactly, but she escapes the whole fucking SWAT team, task force ready to take her in. General Ross is just left there to scratch his head and wonder, fuck, she got away again, goddammit. I can never track this bitch or pin this bitch down, for God's sakes. She's the only fucking non-superhuman powered one, but whatever. Okay. Let's see. That cuts to Yelena and a whole team of Black Widows. Yelena is Black Widow's, well, she's Black Widow, but they're all Black Widows too. So OG Black Widow / Natasha. Yelena is Natasha's sister, quote unquote sister. They're not from the same mother because apparently different mothers. They were just girls that met in the program. But Natasha took Yelena in as her sister because she was younger in the program. She knew the whole ordeal they both had to go through with life. Takes her in under her wing. Yelena is there with the whole team of Black Widow to actually hunt down. Was it to hunt her down? No, it was to hunt somebody else down. She fights somebody to take I guess these serums, where once broken and released into the atmosphere, she breathes it in and she's free of the Black Widow mind control per se. Yelena, the team leader, is the one to get exposed to that shit, so she's immediately freed of the curse of the Black Widow. She starts seeing, oh my God, I know what happened now and shit. She tries to save the woman, she's already dead, so instead of fucking reporting that she lost a woman or she fucked up, she decides to cut out her own tracking device from her leg, leave it right there, and, well, be a fugitive. As immediately alerted on the guy's tablet, he knows, oh shit, one of them got away. Oh shit, my main one just fucking, cut ties with me, got away from the team, so now she's a rogue one. Oh fuck, goddamn. And now the rest of them are trying to hunt them down and hunt her down too as well. So whatever. It kind of led me to think that maybe with that part of her cutting, and they don't show her actually fucking digging into her thigh, cutting the shit out and dumping it, or even the other person getting stabbed to death. No. I thought with that they might have been close to pushing PG-13, but apparently, as you watch the whole movie, it doesn't come close to it. So then, that cuts to fucking Black Widow, or Natasha, Betty had said, finally making her way to wherever she went to, unmarked territory, to the trailer in the backwoods of who knows where, in the middle of I don't give a fuck where. Doing the thing, she's fucking, just like laying low until further notice, of course, because she's a fugitive on the run, etc., for having done what she did to Black Panther, so doing his ass. There's a part where she's just walking randomly in the fucking thing. She pans and turns, and you can see her left ear. I'm pointing to my left ear if you can't see the video version. Her left ear is exposed to the audience for viewing pleasures, of course, and it's Scarlett Johansson. She's always a viewing pleasure, big one. She's got like at least 8-9 piercings in that left ear alone, but one or maybe none in the right ear, which always threw me off because I remember growing up, I got my first piercing when I did my first piercing actually when I was like 13. I just numbed my shit up with an ice cube and just jabbed the shit in my ear. I might have winced, but other than that, for the sake of looking cool, feeling cool, I just kind of grit my teeth and bear with it. That one alone was enough for me. I did a double, but the second hole closed up and shit. So I don't know how this girl has fucking like 9 piercings in one ear and the other one's like bare bones. Because I remember growing up, the point I was making was that if you got anything done in the right ear, that was like the gay ear. No offense to the LGBTQ plus community, but that's what we used to dub it back when. The left ear was a safe ear per se to put all your shit in. So maybe because presumably Natasha is older, maybe she bought into that mentality, and plus she's from a Russian background and all that too. They're probably even harsher on, don't you dare put nothing in right ear, because then that means lesbian and no good or whatever. But then again, all the Black Widows, as we find out later on, and I think I forget which movie she said it in herself, but that she can't have children or make a family. And believe me, I would guess at any point in time, any version of any movie she's in, there's a line out the door of willing candidates to make a family with Black Widow or Natasha Romanoff. She can't have children. She says it in some film earlier too that she couldn't or she can't physically, whatever. Here we learn apparently as a Black Widow in training, they take out the girl's uterus, whole reproductive system, everything literally that would potentially let her become a woman and or a mother at any point in time. So she's got no chance of doing that shit. So the left ear is clearly where she's allowed to have all this shit. And I wonder if she got it while in the Black Widow program, once she escaped and became an Avenger, or I don't know where exactly, or when she had time, let alone where she's gonna fucking sit down and be patient enough to have all 9 done at the same time, or 2 today, 2 more next month, or who knows where. Maybe she went to what's a fucking local piercing place, maybe like her local mall, whichever mall she was like at, or Avengers 1 she got 2, Civil War she got 3. Forgive me for the fucking asshole motorcyclists outside with the choppers and shit. But yeah, I don't know. I love to know that part. That part intrigued me, if anything. So she's in a fucking trailer. Listen, they cut to a part then afterwards where she's watching, I forget which James Bond film, but I think it was the one with the big guy, 7 foot plus, with like the big brass mandible jaw, teeth, whatever the fuck. And she's watching, eating whatever the fuck girls usually eat in like a bowl, just spooning nonstop. She's watching the booty shorts. Listen, chef's kiss for today's episode. I don't know if that's the first or second one, but still, every time for Scarlett Johansson in booty shorts, hair down, relaxing, chilling with no makeup on. Shouts to Drake for that fucking bar right there. Whether he wrote or not, I can't really allude to, but still, you know what I mean. Fine as fuck, sitting there minding her business, watching on top of all that a James Bond flick, which to me, all my men out there, all my fellas out there, I don't know how you like it or if you relate so much or not, but is it not always a huge pleasure, a huge surprise, a pleasant surprise when you might randomly in conversation name a movie you think only guys would like, or normally, stereotypically, only guys would like, like Scarface, Rocky, or an episode I did, what was it, like 4 episodes ago, like Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. And you find out a girl randomly brings up in conversation like, oh, I love that shit too. It's like, wait a minute. You know about Rocky? You know about Cobra? Or what was the name of the movie? Cobretti, whatever the fuck. Or whatever the fuck else you could think of. Or a girl that loves Scarface or something like that too. It's always a pleasant surprise. It's always like, can I just take my heart out my chest clean and give it to you in a doggy bag a la Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey? You've won my heart. It's like we were at a carnival. My heart was on display as a carny prize. I fucking knocked the bottles over somehow, some way. Here's my heart to give to you. You own it now. Let's just fucking binge watch Scarface every Sunday from now until we drop dead. Something like that. But yeah, that's always a pleasant surprise. Here's a fun fact now. Or if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about, or maybe you didn't pay attention. It's one of those little things you might like. Not so much blink if you miss it because it's not a visual portion of the movie, but it's more like a audio portion. Like, I don't know, pick your earwax and miss it kind of thing. Sean Paul, Sean Paul, get busy, duty wine, Jamaican guy, dude, whatever, and Sia, of all people, both musicians, both, stars in their own genres, are both now in the MCU. 20 plus movies in, it's about time. But because they were so popular with that one song, what was it called again? Cheap Thrills. Catchy tune till now, despite however long it's been since that shit came out. They're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now because that song Cheap Thrills plays when she drives Natasha from her trailer to some spot. I forget exactly where she's got to go to. She's driving like some sort of little beat up little piece of shit. That song's playing in the background. When that song was out though, it was one of those where you can't escape this song. It's in the car, on your way to wherever you're going, it's playing there. You tune the station because I heard the song already like 5 times in the last 2 days. Let me see what's on the other station. It's there fucking too. And it's just beginning. As soon as you tune into that one, okay, you're like, Tyler, you know what? I can't escape it. All right. Let it play for the first verse. All right, let me see what else is on somewhere else. Goddamn, the song's just ending. Okay. Get out the car after you parked it too. You walk into the mall, the store, wherever. It's fucking playing the Starbucks. While you're waiting online to hope and see if the dyslexic fucking cashier can get at least half of your name spelled right on your fucking grande cup of macchiato, whatever the fuck, iced. Hopefully, since it's hot as fuck outside right now in the summertime. For God's sakes. But literally, you cannot escape that song when it was out. Thank God, though, at least for me, my opinion, it was one of those songs that were catchy, so it's forgivable. It was, besides being catchy, it was actually, I would say, good. With the little kids in the background chanting, blah, 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 whatever the fuck they were saying. But funny enough, they kind of just like dropped it in perfectly. I guess it came out around the time they're alluding to in this Black Widow story, film, whatever, between, again, Civil War and Infinity War. So, God bless Sean Paul, God bless Sia. They're both in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. I don't know what character, if any, Sean Paul could play as far as a Marvel character is concerned, but I bet Sia could be like a Storm if they really force it on us. Even though I forget who they were talking about making Storm whenever, if ever, they remake X-Men for the Marvel version, of course, but let's hope and see. So they're officially there. But the truck does blow up, I forget what she was driving, but whatever she was driving gets blown up by debut of Taskmaster. I would blow the car up too if I heard that song, let's say at least 6 times that same day. I would get fed up as well too, especially if I had a hoopty or a fucking lemon. I'll just like claim insurance. Hey, my car just blew up in the middle of fucking my ride to a porta potty because I had to pee that bad. Just like how that blew up, I was gonna blow up the bathroom, but the car blew up first, so now I'm gonna sue somebody, whoever. But yeah, Taskmaster comes through, blows her ass up off the fucking road. They fight, and we get treated to the first fight, which it's Taskmaster. She No clue that would have been a female, but she, asshole. She is billed as the main villain or the antagonist in this film. For the very first fight we get, it's long enough to be a decent fight, but it's far from a decent fight. Why exactly? Well, because it's what I hate and fear the most out of so many fucking movies that we get nowadays. Modern day shit, the CGI, post-editing graphics and whatever the fuck they put in afterwards to make it look real, per se. Afterwards, there's a lot of yoinking, just like randomly yoinking, which wouldn't happen in a real fight. There's a lot of CGI spliced in, jumping and swinging and sword, ding ding dong, and whatever the fuck else they do too. It's just too much of it. It's too much flipping to even be real in real life at all. It's a mess. It could have been a lot better, and I get it too. Honestly, at first I was like, you know what? Let me not be too unfair, because it's the very first fight or introduction to Taskmaster. It's Natasha's first encounter with Taskmaster, and the whole gimmick behind Taskmaster is that he, we thought at least presumably, but now it is a master mimicker, meaning the helmet, skull, visor, whatever the fuck they got in their face, can copy and mimic whoever they're fighting's whole fighting style, offense, defense, everything possible, and go both blow for blow without missing the fucking step. Now, the first time around, I could get it if maybe Taskmaster doesn't pin down everything 100%. But for the very first fight, it's kind of dragged out. It's new to fucking Natasha. It's new to Taskmaster. They're facing off for the first time. But she's still able to fucking pull off a scheme and get away from Taskmaster and escape with her life to like go run off to the mountains and do whatever the fuck she's got to do with the rest of her time in the movie and shit. Taskmaster's made it look kind of dumb. Maybe not so much dumb, but like, oh shit, I just fucking missed, beheading this bitch. Meanwhile, she's got no powers. I got all the powers and a fucking power suit on top of that with a cool ass helmet to match. I might as well be like a fucking a cosplay biker of some sorts. But no, she still gets away. Some way, somehow. Of course, most likely, undoubtedly, of the Avengers, the non-powered human ass one. But just a master level assassin shit too. But she got her fucking vehicle blown up while she's inside, and she just flips over a couple of times, walks away to scratch. It's just like fucking it's like Dominic from fucking Fast and Furious. Blow the car up, submarine from underneath the fucking ice, drop a nuke on his fucking head, right on his big fucking bald head and shit. Roll the car around like 57 times and shit. He'll walk out with just a little scratch, or maybe like a little trickle of blood. Like, oh, I just bit my lip too hard when I flipped the 37th time in the vehicle. I'm fine otherwise, guys. Some shit like that. So there's a lot of that shit too going on. As far as her like surviving some shit she's not supposed to, of course it happens. But yeah, my only other concern, my biggest concern with the movie is that I don't care that they made Taskmaster female versus male in the comics, or my introduction officially to Taskmaster was the Spider-Man video game from, 2 years ago or something, on the PlayStation 4, which we got the Mike Morales one on PS5 and shit. That was my intro to Taskmaster officially, which was a lot cooler, a lot more imposing. Literally, you make 2 fucking moves or land 2 fucking hits, already they copy the whole style. Or they've been studying you from really far away, like on some stalker shit, and then when you come to fight fucking Taskmaster the first and second time, he's able to fucking shoot webs and fucking do all your flips and kicks and all that right back to you. So you got to figure out how to counter if there's an open window to do so. The look of Taskmaster in the video game, of course, they're recreating somebody from scratch so they can do and make them look however they want. But for the movie, all I'm saying is this. If back in 1991, 1990, whatever the fuck it was, when they made the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. You remember the one with the fucking big ass puppets and the whole Jim Henson turtles and shit too? If they can do that back in the very early 90s and make the turtles look, obviously they didn't look like fucking humanoid turtles, but they look convincing enough as far as like, I would assume this is what a human / turtle hybrid would look like if they happen to be ninjas on top of all that too. If they can make it look convincing back then, why couldn't they do like extra padding, lifts in the boots, or something to the fucking uniform, the costume, whatever, for Taskmaster in 2021? Marvel, Disney with a huge ass budget to do so and go through like different drafts and version of the costume and shit. I'm not taking away the fact that it's a female this time around. I don't care about that. But even if it's a female, it's like that whole time when with what's that video game? Metroid. When no one knew that Samus Aran was a fucking female underneath all that bulky, big ass metallic costume and shit too. We had no clue until we find out when she takes off the shit, whichever, I think it was the second Metroid. If you get the fucking good ending, she takes the shit off and she's in a bikini of all things. Then you find out it's a female. They could have done the same shit here with Taskmaster. Fucking bulk up the fucking costume, lifts in the boots, bigger back lats, whatever, a more imposing look as far as to build it all together in itself. They could have done something along those lines. That's all I'm saying. I'm not judging the female aspect. Again, I don't care about that, but at least pin the look down, because she's basically the height of fucking Black Widow the whole time. They staying close enough to fucking see eye to eye and shit, or visor to eye, whatever too. That part bothered me a little bit too, and through the whole fucking film, to be honest. But okay, there's that. Let's see. All right, the better of all the fights, the best one, if anything, too, comes right after that, when finally Natasha and Yelena, they finally come head to head, meet for the first time after like however many years it's been since they fucking left each other and shit, and they have legit, again, the best fight of the whole movie, because it's like Jason Bourne, it's like The Raid, it's like actual physical fighting with like a really shaky, jumpy ass camera following along and shit too. They're throwing each other, they're kicking, punching, knives, guns are pulled. They had a really cool opening part to the fight where they both got guns drawn on each other, and then because they're both so fucking massively skilled, they're able to switch each other's gun on each other and still have the gun pointed at each other too, like within a blink of an eye, literally. Then that leads into them fucking just wailing on each other like sisters would. That'd be funny to watch too, like sisters, born and raised together or together for most of their lives, to be trained to both be master assassins. How did those fucking fights end up being? How harsh, how like gritty did they end up fucking fighting with each other too, if they was like that in real life? But yeah, this fight was actually a lot better. If not, I'd probably say, crazy to think, but watch the movie and you'll see why I have to go with it. Probably the best fight of the whole movie, because again, actual physicality. There's no yoinking, jerking around, whatever, stupidly, or some fucking green screen wire that got pulled last second because of editing. No CGI, nothing. It's just actual physicality to the point where they're choking themselves out, both with the same shower curtain. They have to draw mercy, declare a truce on each other just so they don't choke each other out and they both don't die, and then like the movie's only 20 minutes long and shit. So then at that point we learn the main guy, I forget his name, don't ask me what the fuck it was. We learn he's able to control them all, the Black Widows, more specifically speaking, via a tablet, literally, like a fucking app. Swipe it to close it and shit. Does the same thing with one of them. One of them's chasing after both of them to get away and shit too. She falls, breaks her leg, she can no longer fucking proceed. She's fucking begging to Natasha, who goes after her like, Natasha goes to check on her to make sure, she's not gonna die. She's like, just stay there, I'll fucking nurse you back to health, I'll make sure you're safe and shit, you don't gotta die. She has the one that's dying, lifts her own hand up and like puts it to her dome piece or temple and says, I don't want to do this, I'm scared or whatever, and she just zaps herself, blasts herself too. It's the guy controlling the fucking free will of the girl via her fucking wrists, so she's dead. She got zapped to death. So that's when we learn this guy's really just controlling all of them, if he wants to, from a single swipe of a tablet. We learn to see that later on becomes a part of manipulating all of them. So then the chase continues, because It was a whole team of Black Widows that was being led by the second appearance, reemergence of motherfucking Taskmaster in a tank this time, rolling through, I forget which city in Europe they were at. So now it's both sisters together running away from Taskmaster in a fucking tank that's indestructible apparently, small, mobile, and literally a tank that, you know, Taskmaster could have shot the cannon if anything too, because I'm assuming what good is a fucking tank that can roll through, smash, demolish, whatever, with no fucking active cannon? Could have just shot the cannon. But no, Taskmaster has the Taskmaster, fucking pops the top of the tank on some fucking Hawkeye action for no fucking reason. This proves why I'm right about Hawkeye not deserving to be an Avenger. You know, we gotta get a petition online going, you know, take fucking Hawkeye out of the Avengers officially. Rub him out of the history of the MCU, if anything, too. Gets out the fucking tank, bow and arrow, explosive bow and arrow, mind you. Shoots at the fucking vehicle they're using to escape. The arrow goes right underneath the fucking vehicle. If you can see this visually, too, right? Arrow makes its way underneath. It's under the vehicle. I guess it's like a homing device, whatever, arrow, too. It blows up underneath the vehicle. The vehicle blows up. It flips. So much it lands on its roof and it slides down a fucking entrance to a subway and wherever European city they're at. Some shit. They live somehow. Yelena and fucking Natasha. They get out with a fucking, I don't know, Yelena's got a cut in the head, and then Natasha, Black Widow, of course nothing happens to her and shit. They fucking run away, they get away safe and sound and shit too. I don't know. It just seems so fucking like, it's another one of those moments where, again, the second time, Natasha, now with the sister the second time around, in a car, blowing up with her inside, the seatbelt ain't fucking saving your ass from blowing up. It's intent to fucking save you from rolling down a hill or getting caught in impact or whatever too. There's airbags presumably too, but then if you're caught in a car explosion, what good are the airbags? What good is the seatbelt? It's supposed to be death guaranteed, but of course Black Widow can't fucking die either. She's an Avenger somehow, some way too, but she can't die, of course. After that too, they start making fun of each other or like having a whole combo. At some point, Yelena points out the fact that Natasha loves to fucking do that little split leg pose on some Shawn Michaels shit without the flexing. Whenever she drops down ready to go into battle and shit too. It's kind of funny. It is funny. It was, I think it was in a spoiler or like not a spoiler, a trailer leading into the fucking release of the movie and shit. She does do it later on in the film too herself, Yelena, and she does disgusting whatever. It was cute, it was funny, but maybe one time viewing, maybe watch the second, third time, it's like, okay, I got that joke the first time. It should have been one of those where don't release that before the movie comes out. Save that little moment for me until I watch the movie itself. I can enjoy it, and then once it comes back, I can recall and be like, ha, yeah, I like that. That was kind of cute. It's one of those where it got ruined. I go to the movie expecting it. I see it. I kind of, instead of the first time, ha, 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 whatever. Then by the third time, if I ever watch it again, it's like, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Where was I? So then we get introduced to fucking, what do you call it? Red Guardian, or their dad, quote unquote, who's in jail after failing some mission and shit. He's breaking arms and arm wrestling because he's like Russia's version of Captain America, their only super soldier from over there. Where, again, the whole issue with the Taskmaster costume was that they couldn't put more into making the costume look more convincing, but they could put enough CGI, graphics, special effects, whatever, into one part where Red Guardian breaks a guy's arm because he's so much bigger and supposed to be stronger than him, but again, he's like Russian Captain America, so he just grabbed the guy's arm, slams it down, and breaks it, where it's dangling off his wrist and shit, all imposed, you know, allegedly broken and shit too. They had the graphics budget, whatever, time to work on that shit to make that look convincing, but they couldn't do the same with extra padding, foaming, lift boots, whatever, for fucking Taskmaster. But okay, I'm just saying that's only thing I want to point out there too. But otherwise, Red Guardian throughout the whole film is funny. However, from my understanding of the trailer, I would have thought that we would have gotten a lot more Red Guardian, or at least a lot more actively involved action fighting Red Guardian. Barely got any of it too. I mean, he was funny. There's no taking away from that. He was very charming. I liked him for the sake of that he was funny, and he tried to be a dad when he really wasn't a dad to begin with. But I guess he liked the girls enough to want to be like, hey, let me be a dad, quote unquote, to both of these skilled master assassins and shit. But okay, I'll just say that's Red Guardian. So then there's a part where they all gathered together. Red Guardian, I forget the mom's name, Yelena and Natasha, at fucking wherever the mom lived at, some hillside, some place, who knows, outskirts of third world Europe and shit, in her little cottage, where she just so happens to have like a closet stock chock full of fucking sniper rifles and homing missiles and shit too in the back, of course, in the shed. She's training pigs. But meanwhile, we find out then that she had a hand in developing the Black Widow, like, mind control shit as well, too. Because she's doing it to the pigs that she's got there. Where, you know, oh, sweet little fat piggy, whatever, mind your business and go rolling some shit and leave me alone, whatever. I'm going to make some bacon out of you later on eventually. But she's actually doing the same thing that the guy did with the Black Widows to the fucking pigs. To demonstrate that she's able to do that, or what this guy's able to do to Black Widows, she does it with one of the pigs, like Charlie or some shit she named the pig. The pig comes in, opens the door by itself. On her tablet, she's able to swipe some option to make the pig willingly stop breathing because she has that control over it. And the pig immediately stops breathing. I mean, they're already mouth breathers anyway, too. So for the fact that it can't open its mouth to either eat or breathe, slowly killing the pig. And it's emphasizing the fact that, again, the guy they're going after can't do that to any Black Widow if he so right chooses to do so. My whole takeaway from the pig scene was that, goddamn, since when are we fucking training pigs to be like actors like that too? Because that was pretty impressive. I mean, of course, there's gonna be cuts and edits and shit too. Then I gotta really have a pig fucking stop breathing, because then Peter will be up their ass too. But or imagine Peter one day comes out like, hey, Black Widow is a severely huge misrepresentation of the Black Widow spider in itself, you know, complicated upbringing and, you know, fragmented family structures and shit too. Cancel Black Widow and shit. Oh, but, you know, Scarlett Johansson ain't even playing that role no more. We'll cancel the next one after her that's fucking taking over her and shit. But it's just a name. We're not really naming them Black Widows. Whatever the fuck. You know, Peter loves being, you know, stupid like that. But the pig being able to be trained to do that kind of shit on command, to stop breathing, or of course, editing, of course, after the fact. But still, that was impressive. That we're able to train pigs now, which I think apparently they said pigs are pretty intelligent. But I still don't understand why people even want pigs as pets, because I know they want those little cosmetic, like little miniature, small-ass pigs, which I'll admit, they're cute, especially piglets and shit. But a pig shits everywhere, eats its own shit. You can feed it the leftovers, just give it whatever kind of shit you don't want to eat yourself. If the pig can lift itself up to reach into the toilet bowl and drink the water out of the toilet, or if you vomited it, or if you just shitted it, and then the pig's right there, right after you to scoop all that up, it's going to eat all that too, I believe, right? Something like that. But whatever. Pigs as pets reminds you too much of the people that used to travel with like their comfort peacocks, or, you know, emotional distress armadillos and shit too. And thank God the airlines are canceling that shit, so there's no more of that going on, I hope, soon enough. But yeah, training the pig to do that was pretty cool, I'll admit. Will we ever get clarity on the gender diversity that is widespread in the Mushroom Kingdom? Regarding Mario, I'm sure he's pretty sure of his gender, but then again, you know, he's a plumber. He's laid down as a pipe on Princess Peach, presumably. But then again, when you beat Mario 64, the only Mario game I ever beat 100% like that, and happy belated 25th anniversary release of the Nintendo 64 system, at least in Japan, presumably she only gave him some cake and a kiss on the cheek. So then that seems like the ultimate fucking example, the epitome of just simping and forcibly cucking Mario. So he's a cuckold, I guess you could say, because yeah, she does get snatched up by Bowser. He's always after her to presumably rescue her. But then there's Rosalina, there's the Galaxy, there's Princess Daisy, which no one gives a shit about apparently because Luigi's too busy being number 2 to a simp. So then really he's like number 3 because Bowser's number 1 in that case. In that house, they get kidnapped and taken by, Taskmaster, of course, and their whole squad of fucking elite Black Widows. They get taken to the fucking Red Room, which is actually just a big hub in the sky where they're all being trained. And there is a good thing about the Black Widow program, Red Room and shit. Good amongst the whole bad going on there too, is that there's no racism, obviously. It's Black Widows, of all colors, races, size. Well, there's no fat Black Widow, obviously. That's kind of sexist, I guess. Or body shape demoralizing, I guess you could call that too. Because there's no fat or thick 2Cs, 3Cs, whatever Black Widows. They're all of the same build, slender, slim. They're kind of like the same height too. They also reveal at some point too that they do like some genetic coding scan in general of like which female from which region could actually make genetically the most sense to become a trained master assassin. So they just like pluck them once they make their choice and take them from whichever region of the world and bring them to the Red Room and train them. But they get kidnapped, a whole family taken up to the Red Room. It's a ploy because the mom, who presumably was the one working with the bad guy to do that, was really undercover because they had this technology where they like traded faces, Natasha and the mom. So the mom passed off as Natasha, and she was locked in with Dad, Red Guardian, in some fucking cell. And then Natasha, passing off his mom, was taken to the office directly of the bad guy to like kill him. That was her master plan and shit too, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's more of that, like, more along the realms of that, like, defacing, or that, what do you call that shit? That shit they did with the Irishman, whatever, where they were, like, taking the old-ass face and, like, rejuvenating it digitally and shit. Although it was convincing, because I'm guessing it was literally the person, and then with special effects and shit, when they yoinked the face off, it's like, oh shit, no, it's really Natasha, not the mom and shit. Yeah, but then they do that. Let's see. This is when we get introduced to Taskmaster underneath the helmet and find out it's the daughter of the bad guy who Natasha had given the okay to kill when she walked into some building that got blown up when she was a child, knowing that was the guy's child and shit. But she's not really sorry, because it's like that old thing of like, if you could travel back in time and knew Hitler was gonna be Hitler eventually, would you kill baby Hitler? I'm guessing maybe that's the same mentality Natasha, Black Widow, had. And she said, okay, fuck it. She is the seed of a very evil individual, so might as well get rid of them both. Or that's what she presumed, at least when the building got blown up in front of her too, and she gave the okay to do so. But whatever, we find out Taskmaster's a female. I saw some of the videos about, oh, this is a great thing for fucking women, this, that, the other. It doesn't fucking matter. We really got so little of Taskmaster to begin with, and Taskmaster has this whole thing of being able to masterfully mimic this one, that one, immediately on the spot, whatever too. We barely got any of that. There was barely any Taskmaster really redeemed the fact that, oh, Taskmaster, I'm scared, I'm gonna run for my fucking life. It's like, oh, Taskmaster, it's a fucking bitch under a helmet that can copy me pretty well, but if I try hard enough, I'll still beat her ass. Where later on, she has to fight Red Guardian, who again is the Russian Captain America-esque whatever guy, and we don't even get treated to that shit, because we got the first fight between her and Natasha, Black Widow, which was cool. I mean, she has the Captain America shield. The guy confirms that Taskmaster has the fighting skills already embedded in her mind of all the Avengers, so if she wants to fight like Cap, she wants to fight like, you know, well, he's not an Avenger, but she could have fought like, she had the nails of fucking Black Panther, Hulk, etc., etc. She can adapt all those styles immediately and fucking fight like them. Now, Black Widow, having worked with all of them so closely as an Avenger, could fucking know how to like work her way around. But still, I don't think she's ever fought anybody like herself in the form of Taskmaster, was able to copy her shit. But again, Taskmaster wasn't really used to her full potential in this film. So we got robbed of that opportunity. And I will say robbed, I'll leave it at robbed, because we were robbed of that shit. We was robbed. But yeah, so it turns out when Natasha's in the fucking room with the lead guy that she wants to kill, she can't kill him literally because he's still got control over her. Or we so think. But meanwhile, he's genius enough to like implement a shit where it's a pheromonal nerve effect, I think it was called. Basically, it's like I have this fucking smell on me that paralyzes your brain so much that we worked on, where you can't hurt me. Or when you try to, it's like immediate paralysis. You have to stay still. And you smell me, and it's like you stop dead in your tracks. It's like when you smell somebody passing by in the street, or sometimes in the subway now because it's so hot outside, or the bus too. You smell them, you kind of stop dead in your tracks. Like, has this person ever heard of a shower? Or at least some body spray, whatever, for God's sakes. No. So the mom had told her earlier at some point, like, if you're going to face this guy, he's got this thing where if you smell him, you fucking stop dead in your tracks. She's like, oh, okay, I'll just like fucking pinch my nose and stop breathing and whatever. It's like, it's not that easy. You got to fucking break the nerve, block it some way, somehow too. And then while they're fighting and he's able to get some blows in on her, she has to break her own nose to like shut off that nerve so she can't smell him anymore, and then start kicking his ass. But then of course he calls in the whole fucking squad of Black Widows he's got back in the Red Room. They come after her, they start beating on her and shit. She's doing all right, but then it's a whole fucking 10, 15 copies of her versus just one her. So she's able to get 5, 10 down, but then the rest of them like gang up and start like kicking her or whatever, start beating the shit out of her. Like, it's like a gang initiation of anything. It's not really like getting beat up like that. Because I would think if like it's a gang of Black Widows, literally, not in a gang of like gang, but gang, a whole bunch of them ganging up on her, it'd be more of like, this one would kick in the air, this one comes in with an uppercut, this one comes in with a fucking elbow, and like just air combo, air teching her ass like it was Street Fighter or Tekken, non-stop until she's literally just a bag of bones and blood and meat and shit. She's dead practically in midair until they let her fucking collapse to the ground, because she's only human. They're only human too, but they're master trained, skillful assassins where, you know, 15 of them with all her skills versus just one of her. I think she's severely outnumbered. But then of course Yelena comes in, saves the day with this fucking secret formula thing that they released earlier, breaks it. They're all able to breathe it in. They're all free of the fucking mind control shit. They all help her out. They get out of here. She says, you're all free to do what you want now. Do whatever the fuck you got to. You know, finger your twats until you feel like you're a woman. But then again, you got no reproductive system. So then again, you can't be a mother. For God's sakes, then they're all in the fucking run. They all make it out of the Red Room in the fucking middle of the sky, busting through, you know, in the middle of the fight with, which we didn't get to see barely any of, Red Guardian and Taskmaster. The mom comes in, tricks Taskmaster, locks her into a fucking cell, presumably as the Red Room is falling from the sky and going down in a blaze of glory. Taskmaster's still locked in that cell, so it looks like, you know, guaranteed dead because she can't break out. But then Natasha falls through somewhere where she's trying to get away, conveniently enough in front of the room, the door that leads to the room where Taskmaster's locked in. Lets her go because she feels bad or whatever, what she did to her when she was a child. Lets her go and says, you gotta chase me. If not, let's haul ass, get the fuck out of here. They do, dive out the fucking shit. Another part from the trailer which they really built up to make you think, oh, this is gonna be pretty epic, because we haven't seen any of this so far, like a fight in the middle of the fucking sky as everybody's falling at the same time. Nope, barely any of that. You know, a couple of soldiers dive, got some guns, they get killed immediately. The bad guy tries to escape in a helicopter with a gang of his soldiers, but then Yelena jumps on top and fucking breaks one of the engines. They're dead, out of the picture immediately, or so we think, because it's Marvel. No one really fucking dies if they don't really want to. I guess it's a matter of willpower. As they're diving through the sky, Taskmaster goes after fucking Natasha. Natasha's worried about her sister, gives her a parachute, sends her off as she fucking plummets to the ground. They finally hit the ground, and finally, it seems like we're gonna get the best fight, presumably, of the whole movie. Finally, Natasha versus Taskmaster, round 2, fight. Literally lasts a minute before Natasha already knows who's under the helmet. Natasha wants to save her too. Natasha knows how to take off the helmet. Takes off the helmet of Taskmaster. Taskmaster's fucking beat up, like scrambled egg faces exposed. So she's able to fucking climb on top of her, break the fucking little formula shit. Taskmaster's able to breathe it in. Taskmaster is no more. No fucking purpose to kill or mimic anybody anymore. She's just a fucking scarred-faced little girl that grew into an adult woman in the fucking Taskmaster suit, which now she has to retire the shit, and then if there's another Taskmaster after her, or if she comes back to be Taskmaster as the good guy, I don't fucking know at this point. But again, big waste of Taskmaster, which could have been a really fucking cool villain for this movie, for later on, whatever. Just a fucking waste, like, kind of like a write-off of sorts. And then the fucking Task Force General Ross is coming in after fucking Natasha. They get a brief fucking reunion, the family, before they all have to run off together with the rest of the fucking Black Widows, which came back to save all of them. But Natasha's like, nope, I gotta go fucking do my own thing as always. I'm the fucking rogue one. You go do whatever you gotta do with yourselves and shit too. They run off, they say their goodbyes. We get fast forwarded 2 weeks later where we get introduced to the scene where now we get the actual last scene or unofficial goodbye to Black Widow, at least in this case, because she gets the jet to fly off to fucking go save Cap and fucking Falcon, which lead to the events of Civil War. Which lead to the events of Infinity War. And then we know the rest from there pretty much. Infinity War, how that happened. Endgame, what happened to her at the end. So then no more Black Widow officially as that shit. Cuts to the fucking credits. That's it. That's done. End credits scene, of course, that everybody's been talking about on Twitter and shit too. That's there. Yelena goes to visit her fucking tombstone. After the events occurred of Endgame, you know, it's a really touching scene, actually. Even though, you know, there wasn't too much involved. There was good chemistry between her and Scarlett Johansson the whole time. It was pretty touching still. The end credits scene where she goes to visit her tombstone. They have this little thing where they whistle to each other too. She whistles, of course, obviously, because she's fucking dead in the ground. Black Widow can't whisper back to her, so it's only her whistling and, you know, putting her head against the tombstone. I forget her name character-wise, but Juliette Lewis-Dreyfus / Elaine from Seinfeld gives her one last task to fulfill, Yelena, this time, as far as being able to go after the guy responsible, quote-unquote, for Natasha's death, which is, dun-dun-dun-dun, Hawkeye. So now we got a Black Widow hell-bent on killing Hawkeye, which I hope she's able to do. And if she can't fucking kill him, at least fuck him up so bad where he had no choice but to become Ronin and be like, you know what, I've been stuck with this bow and arrow bullshit for so long. I might as well start taking swords with me because this bitch crazy. She wants me dead. And I got a fucking, like a target on my fucking head because of this bitch right here. So I might as well carry something that might actually be a good use. A sword in this case. Okay, one last thought before I give it a final score. I think what could have helped the movie a lot is if, hear me out here. I think what they could have done is, how they say when you're about to die, your whole life flashes before your very eyes. I think just to really seal the deal, to really kind of cheat and bring this from good to great as far as the film's concerned, they could have gave us the end credit with the tombstone being visited and all that shit too. But they could have gave us like a recap of the movie we just saw right now, Black Widow. Like a fast jump cut, like 30 seconds and under of the highlights and shit, playing right before or while Black Widow falls from the edge of that shit as they try to get the Soul Stone and she sacrifices herself. I think that really could have, you know, what do you call it, like overproduced the waterworks. Had a lot of people crying in the theater just remembering, oh shit, she's dead, right. This whole shit doesn't even matter because this leads to her death in Endgame, and then he just recap the whole movie in that time as she's falling slowly. She's falling, cut to a highlight. Falling, cut to a highlight. Falling, cut to a highlight. Her remembering everything that happened in the Black Widow movie while she was really dying in Endgame and shit. And just remember that, and the last thing could have been a still image of her hugging Yelena as they hug and say goodbye for the last time and shit. And then boom, she drops to the fucking ground and drops dead and shit. I think that really could have sealed the whole deal for the whole fucking movie, and could have been cheating, could have been tugging at the emotional heartstrings per se, but I think it could have worked to really fucking seal the deal with Black Widow, with her goodbye as is and as we got here with Black Widow. I was going into this already a fan of Black Widow visually. Scarlett Johansson, no question, of course, or the role she plays as Natasha Romanoff, is a fine-ass woman. I've always been a fan of hers. I know she ain't exactly, as a lot of people say, pretty or fantastic looking or whatever, whatnot. Now, fuck you. I've always been attracted to Scarlett Johansson. What helps on top of that more is that Scarlett Johansson, I feel, I believe, and I'd be able to defend my own opinion regardless of who fucking wants to confront it, I feel is a great actress. She's developed over time. She's had like 20-something years to fucking really fine-tune the craft of acting, which she's definitely able to do so now. Anything else outside of this shit too, she's great. She's able to hold her own. She's able to deliver the goods. No question there. I just think that the whole movie itself had a lot of shit missing. There was definitely a lot of fucking talking, alluding to this, that, the other. Not enough of actually being able to see what this whole Red Room was about. You know, maybe not show the scene where they actually remove the uteruses, the reproductive system from the girls, but at least something alluding to that shit. Or like a painful memory of when it happened. Or more training from the Red Room. Or growing up more as Natasha after, you know, Yelena and her got split up forcibly. Or even like if she remembers from being a baby, if like her legit mom, not the mom they gave her, but her legit mom, who they said, you know, didn't give her up willingly. She was forced out of her fucking mom's arms, and they killed her mom because her mom wanted to expose the Red Room of what was going on and shit too. There was a lot of shit they really could have drawn from this shit too. Like a young Black Widow growing up into the Black Widow we got to know today, and then eventually leading at the end of the film almost to what the fuck finally happened in Budapest, giving more gritty, you know, visual detail and shit of that shit. The Red Room. Yeah, we got to see the Red Room towards the very fucking end, but only just like 20 minutes of it just to see it get blown up out the fucking sky. I don't know. There was just a lot missing here too. Let's see. The only great fight again was sister versus sister. And that's a lot to fucking say because that was the only real convincing fight out of all of them. Again, like Jason Bourne, the Raid-esque kind of vibes to it too as well. No special effects, no fucking flipping 10 times in the air for no fucking reason, which you wouldn't do in a fight, not even one flip, unless you're getting fucking knocked out by, you know, what's that overgrown English boxer? I forget his name, but the big tall ass fucking guy, bald, red beard and shit. Like one of his uppercuts, because he's so big, he's gonna lift you off the fucking ground with his fist, and then maybe you'll do a flip or two as you lay him back down on the ground and shit too. That's the only good fight, sister versus sister. We only got a little bit, a taste of Red Guardian versus Taskmaster, which should have been really good, or at least prominently show the fucking strength, the skills of Red Guardian, which is again supposed to be the Russian fucking Captain America. Didn't get any of that shit at all. Taskmaster didn't really get to show her in this movie full skills of being able to mimic, copy, imitate, and defeat opponents with their own fucking skills getting thrown back at them. But maybe because she has no skills, she's just a really skilled master assassin, maybe that's what fucking did Taskmaster in, or this version of. So now, with her being de-helmeted and no purpose of being Taskmaster any further, now we don't have a Taskmaster anymore. What the fuck, you know? Yelena, I forget her fucking real name, don't ask me. It's not that I don't give a shit, just I'm really bad with names again, as I explained earlier. You know, she deserved more, I think. More kills, more stealthiness, more of an opportunity to showcase her skills, better yet said. Shout outs to official Bad News Mom for joining the live. She's great overall. And if she's the one to now take the Black Widow mantle and run with it from this point onwards, well deserved. And also, chef's kiss to her. She's very cute. That's besides the point, her being cute and physically attractive, just like Scarlett Johansson was. But she's very funny, she's entertaining, and she did a really good job of keeping her Russian accent intact through 90% of the film. There's a part where she's trying to explain in a joke form how they remove the uteruses and the fallopian tubes and reproductive systems of all the other Black Widows that got trained in the Red Room, where she clearly lost the accent and dropped it. I guess just to really try to sell the joke, but then it really would have been more funny with like a heavy ass Russian accent explaining that in full graphic detail as she tried to. But yeah, she's great though. I love her, enjoy her. I'll be glad to see her, hopefully as, I guess, new Black Widow. The fucking falling out the sky, it looks like it's gonna be an epic build-up to like fist fighting, kicking, flipping somehow in the sky and shit too, or getting killed at the fucking sky too. None of that shit. It's very misleading, if anything, too. But I can't take away the fact that the cast, the family per se of Black Widow, Red Guardian, the older Black Widow, and then all the other Black Widows and then Yelena / new Black Widow too, they really help round out the fucking performances overall. With that being said, and overall, the fact that the story doesn't, like, just miss. It could have had a little bit more action. It could have had a lot more Taskmaster, a lot more Yelena, or like at least Taskmaster versus both Black Widows, Natasha and Yelena, at the very end too, because maybe Yelena sees that, oh, after her getting fucked up by the other 15 fucking Black Widows in the Red Room before they all get fucking freed from the mind control and shit too. Maybe she could have jumped in the Taskmaster fight. They go at it for like at least 3-4 minutes. Natasha's close to fucking dying and shit. And then Yelena jumps in, saves her ass. It's a 2-on-1. 2 Black Widows, 1 Taskmaster. She can't fucking compute imitating 2 people at once, even though they're both Black Widows, but then this one's younger, this one's more agile, this one doesn't do the pose, etc., and just fucking cancel everything out and then defeat her that way. No, they didn't do that. So in that case, since a lot of it, yeah, I gotta be fair. I was really stuck initially on wanting to give it 1.5, but I'm gonna have to give it a solid 1 ear out of 2 for Black Widow 2021 against starring finance Scarlett Johansson and the rest of the people. I don't know the fucking names, no disrespect, but I'm just trying to like really trying to salvage what I got from the movie, which I thought would have been better, which I was hoping would have been more like Logan vibes, would have been more dramatic because of the misleading opening vibes. But ultimately, it's not bad, it's not great, it's just good. When I watch it again, obviously when it's no longer premiere access, $30 on Disney Plus. I'll wait the 2-3 months when it's free to watch on Disney Plus, which I have already, and give it another shot. But for right now, I'm sticking to 1 ear out of 2 for Black Widow. It's good. I'll say it's good. It's meh, you know? There's points and times where I thought the action, the story could have been stronger. It could have been 1.5, not 2, nowhere near 2. But definitely a solid 1 ear out of 2.